Hey, it's the Cottage Country Insider podcast. It's Jim Marshall here, and I have two special guests here today who bought a house through us last year to share some of their experience with buying a house. I have Megan and Tyler. They're both first-time buyers, and kind of, if you guys can kind of introduce what you guys do, what kind of possessed you to buy a house in Perry Sound.
So we both work in construction. Our lives kind of changed a bit after the pandemic hit, and both coming from hospitality background, things changed within that realm. So it was a matter of finding something that kept us busy and happy, but still allowed us to make some good money. And Perry Sound had a huge boom. A lot of people were migrating this way and decided to build. So we kind of fell into that. And then obviously finding full-time employment, it was time to settle down, and we decided to purchase our first home in Perry Sound.
Did you find it difficult to find employment in Perry Sound?
I applied to every job that was out there because it was a matter of I wasn't able to kind of sit around and do anything. It was great for the summer, and then once the summer was over, I needed something to keep busy with. There was lots of opportunity. It was a matter of finding something that kind of fit for what we both enjoy. And obviously hospitality, restaurants, that kind of deal, it wasn't really a thing. Whether it was open for a couple of weeks, everything shut back down. So it was kind of something we needed full-time employment. Obviously we were hoping to purchase a home soon. And if you're not making money, you're not really able to purchase.
No, and you both got jobs where you get your weekends off.
Exactly.
Yeah, unlike me. I know. It's a nice thing to have. So I think when we first met, if I recall, we started October, would have been 2021. I still remember the house we looked at. It was over off of Beatty Street. So by the time you guys bought, it was about a 9-month process.
Yeah, we were getting closer to a year.
What was kind of, and you guys bought at honestly a really crappy time for buyers. So share some of the experiences you had, because we had offers on other places that never went anywhere. And
well, I think that was the most difficult thing, because we kind of had what we wanted in mind set. And obviously as a first-time home buyer, you're looking at everything under the sun. You're hoping to get your garage, your backyard, your basement, and you want to hit all of your check marks. In the time that we purchased, I found it a lot more difficult for us to decide what we were willing to let go versus hold on to, what was the most important, only because we viewed so many houses with you and you were wonderful throughout the process. But there were some properties where I had emailed you and said, let's go take a look at this one. And you said, honestly, that's not really what you're looking for. So it was nice from that perspective. There were others that we went and looked at. Anything from a complete fixer-upper to something move-in ready. We were willing at that point to basically take on anything, but it was a matter of what was available. And then, like you said, we had put in quite a few offers, knowing that there's still a potential that we're not going to get it. And there were a few that we were outbid significantly just because everybody was so hungry. So it was difficult as a buyer, but we didn't let it kind of get to us. We understood this was the number we're going in at. If we didn't get it, well, we'd move on to the next.
And one of the things that you really held on to there, I remember, was, a lot of these offers were coming in completely unconditional, no home inspection, no financing, nothing. And you really stuck to your guns with that. You didn't want to get stuck with a property that you couldn't get a mortgage on or something like that.
Well, and that was scary as like first-time home buyers. I mean, you only know so much as to what you can do your research on, what individuals as yourself who have the experience are able to kind of give you that knowledge, but you still have to take a gamble of knowing what's right for you versus what everybody says, oh, don't worry about it, it'll be fine.
Easy to say when you're spending $500,000 or something.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. What did you guys do? Was there any tools or anything? Because, as you said, we did blaze a lot about you would text me on a property. What kind of tools were you using to kind of scope out properties?
I lived on the Realtor app, no matter if we could afford it or not. I wanted to see what was out there, what prices were kind of going for, whether it was vacant land, something that was kind of within our wheelhouse. Otherwise, I just wanted to understand the market at that point. The big thing was obviously from a small town in Parry Sound, you talk to one person or another, somebody knows somebody who's selling that property, and there's a good chance that you can kind of get a little bit more of inside knowledge. And then obviously you know so many people within the town, so it was quite easy to kind of get a grasp of the market from that sense. But one app that I found really helpful was House Sigma. Because it could give you background information on the property, whether or not it sold a handful of times in the last little while, and how have things changed. You could see previous photos prior to this sale. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, lots of people use House Sigma, and there's a couple other similar apps out there that people are using, because you get the sales history and some of the stuff that realtors do where they list it for a month, take it down, put it as a new listing. It's like, hey, look at this. And it's like, buyers are pretty sophisticated. Wouldn't you agree?
It was quite interesting to see how long one house would be on the market. And then, like you'd say, it would expire, quote unquote. And then within a week or so, it was relisted. But based on how other houses were selling, whether it was on the street or in that specific area, and then they changed their price. So you knew that they were playing the market at the same time. I mean, you're in it to win it. I would do the same thing as a seller. I mean, you want to make your bank.
And at the same time, there's houses selling before we even get an offer in on them too, though.
Sometimes. Well, you guys have a job where you work long, crazy hours in the busy season. So we had some challenges as far as getting you guys in to places, because some people, it was just up one day, sold the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're in good position. Like, you guys went out and you did all the stuff that, we always suggest. Like, you got your mortgage pre-approval right away.
I did my best to kind of do as much legwork prior to the process of purchasing the house as we could. That way, when the day came, we knew we were ready to jump on it. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, and it's just, you've got there's nothing worse than dealing with buyers and you're scrambling to get your notice of assessments and all that stuff. Just having all that stuff done, especially, and you know what? I hate to say it, the market's kind of getting somewhat to what it was like back 2 years ago around here. Not quite to the craziness, but we just listed the house today. We've already got 3 showings on it. And the same type
I
of
noticed
stuff.
houses are sitting for a bit, so that's kind of nice for the market. Whoever's in the market now to purchase, at least it's not as anxiety filled to where you have to make a decision at this moment. Otherwise, you might lose out on your potential forever home.
Yeah, and it's not like, it's better than the average. So you look like pre-pandemic, the market right now is better than that. It's not what it was in 2021 by any stretch, which is nice, because it's a heck of a lot less stress for people. Yeah, everybody. Right. Yeah. What about because we spent a lot of time together over that course of those 10 months or whatever. Any memorable moments that kind of stick out in your memory as far as good, bad, ugly that happened through your home hunting search?
Well, I know there were quite a few houses that we were set on. We really enjoyed the location. I mean, for us, we were really hoping to find something out of town. We enjoy the dirt bikes, the ATVs, hanging out by the lake, that kind of outdoorsy atmosphere. Again, to hit all those check marks, though, it was really difficult. But some of the properties we saw were just gorgeous. And to know that there is those potential properties out there for the people who kind of want that. I mean, it's so exciting to see what the region has to offer. Because, I mean, as much as you can drive through town, you kind of get an idea of it, but you would never imagine what that house can look like on the inside. The big thing for me, it was quite funny, just especially with the company that I work for, there was a handful of us that were looking to purchase a house around the same time. So the big thing was to talk about it the next day at work, who's seen the house, who's putting an offer on it. And we knew that we were literally fighting each other for that house. And it was a matter of, well, who can bid the highest? All right, well, I guess you won this one. Maybe I'll get the next.
That was crazy. I never want to do that again in my life. But you guys end up getting a good house. So can you kind of share the story how we ended up doing that, and then I can kind of come in and give maybe some of the background.
So again, we were looking at anything and everything within our kind of monetary value of what we could afford. But we got a phone call one day from someone who we know very well by the name of Jim Marshall. And he let us know that there was potentially a house available coming up for sale. At this point, it was still off market. And you had basically told us to swing by that Sunday. And from Sunday afternoon viewing the house, the second I walked in the front door, I was set. I knew that this was what we were looking for. It was within our price range. It kind of gave us most of what we were looking for. And it was much closer to work than what we had been traveling from. I think it must have been Tuesday afternoon, I think we had put an offer in, and by Tuesday evening, it was accepted. So that was really exciting. Within a 3-day span, after 10 months, finally we had something to call our own.
And it was fortuitous. And this is something that people don't really realize, that we don't do a huge amount of what I call off-market properties. But we knew somebody who just happens to be my son who'd bought a house, and they decided that we had about 3 or 4 buyers, first-time buyers, that were looking to kind of just throw it out and just say, look, it's coming up on the market. It's going to be this price when we list it. You can buy it for this if you're interested with it. And one of the benefits of dealing with a realtor that's been established, I guess, is sometimes these properties, when they come up, and I said we don't do a lot of them. I might do 1 a year, 2 a year, but it was just a perfect fit for you guys. And they bought another house. We would have sold it in a week, but it was just perfect for you guys. And it's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, nice little yard in it. You got a nice apple tree there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're stretching it. You say you would have sold it in a week. I think it might have been a couple days. I don't think it would have lasted that long with the location and just the outdoor. Like, we are in town, but with the size of yard and the privacy that we have, I mean, it's actually quite nice to be able to go out into your backyard and not have to deal with the neighbors, so to speak. You still have that privacy aspect, but you're around the corner from the beer store and the grocery store, and I have a 3-minute drive to work every day. So it's the best of both worlds from what we were looking at.
Have you met Dale yet, your neighbor?
Yes, we have. Yeah, Dale and Alex.
Yeah, nice. I've known Dale since he was a little kid, so yeah. You got a nice neighborhood there. Like it really worked out well. We're happy to be able to do the deal. And Cameron and Haley got their house 5 minutes out of town, their second house, and you bought their first house. And that's kind of the way things in this business sometimes work. Anything different as far as, like, you guys are driving quite a bit for work originally? Has your lifestyle changed? Has gotten better? Obviously, you're not commuting as much.
Well, like I said, I got a 3-minute drive to work, so I'll let Tyler take that one.
It cut my drive to work in half, so that was nice. And it's nice living in town and only 20 minutes away from work. So considering we were looking at some places where my drive would have been 45, it would have made it longer. Yeah. So the properties were nice, but once this happened and we moved to town, I really do see the benefits of living in town for now at this point in my life. So it is nice.
It's convenient, and it's just, you're 3 minutes to work. I'm 3 minutes to my office. Like, it's just nice to have that. And people don't. Everybody wants to be able in the country, but you become a road warrior. 15 minutes in, 15 minutes out, which at some points works, but it just depends on what stage of your life that you're at. Any unexpected costs that you kind of incurred after buying it is like, oh, didn't think of that type of thing? Or
honestly, I think I'm an over planner. I like to be 3 steps ahead. So for me, knowing that we have these closing costs and everything that associates with purchasing a home, I definitely over budgeted for everything. So it was kind of nice when we finally sat down with the lawyer and I let him know what we were anticipating. he honestly laughed at me and he said, well, why don't you take that extra X amount of dollars and go buy yourself something nice this weekend, because you're not going to need anywhere near that. So it was bittersweet. I mean, we didn't have to encounter a cost that we weren't able to deal with. But I mean, since then, it gave us the chance to buy the new couch and the new television and stuff since we've moved in.
Would you do, if you go back and do it all over again, what would you do different?
I mean, for me, I would hope that we're not purchasing at the point of a really high market.
Yeah.
Post-pandemic and everything. So it'll give me a lot more room to breathe. Knowing that we're in a home, we can kind of plan to get the house ready for a sale, put everything kind of into perspective for what we're looking for, whether or not there's children in the mix or we're living closer to our jobs, further from that. I mean, I think that would kind of help me draw a fine line as to what I want to do. But take my time would be the biggest thing. As much as, like you said, we were working with you for 10 months or so, we definitely had the option to see a lot of properties. And as much as it was lengthy, once it came time to the actual purchase, those 3 months flew. I thought, oh, I'll start packing next weekend. Maybe we should start packing next weekend. I was still packing boxes the day the U-Haul arrived. So, I mean, for someone who is 3 steps ahead of the game, it did not plan for that packing maneuver very well.
Packing always takes. I'm gonna put things together someday like that. Packing always takes longer than you expect. Always.
Yeah, we realized that real quick.
And you buy that U-Haul van, or you rent it, you bring it in, and then you go, oh crap, I'm not gonna be able to fit half my stuff in that. Yeah. It's just human nature. Like you just always, I don't have that much stuff. So why moving vans are 50 feet long? Like you have a lot of stuff, most people. So
well, we've been here for 8 months and I still have probably 15 boxes that I haven't unpacked. And again, keep telling myself this is the weekend, and then it's nice and sunny outside and we don't end up unpacking.
Anything
we don't need.
Well, just stuff to take to the garbage eventually, or whatever.
Yeah.
Any plans as far as renovations to the house? Kind of curious.
Do you want to take that one?
We don't really have too many plans other than doing some work to the roof sooner than later, but
yep.
But we knew that going into the purchase that it was part of what needed to be done. So
I think that was the biggest thing for me walking into the house. It was very appealing. There was nothing that really needed to be done. The wiring had been updated. I know the windows are fairly new. It has a very nice character feel to it, to where it's very cozy and homey. For myself, I mean, I paint for a living, so that's something that we've kind of started to do. A few rooms here and there as we each can decide on a color, because we can't seem to nail that down. But painting, I mean, it just kind of livens the place up a little bit, makes it more of our own. But the place was in really good condition to where cosmetically, if you want to start changing flooring and trim, I mean, that's something as a personal choice, but it really does not need anything like that.
And you know, when we're done the podcast here in a few minutes, stay on, because I want to talk to you about some painting stuff.
100%. Yeah,
absolutely. Any other tips as far as for before we wrap up for first time buyers? What couple tips to pass along for them, because there's a lot of people your age, younger, getting into the market right now?
Just keep talking to people. I mean, ask as many questions as you can. There's no stupid questions. I always say continue to ask the question until you get the answer that you're looking for. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to understand and know. And I mean, we're still learning stuff after the fact that we've purchased a home, but you want to make sure that you completely understand what you're getting yourselves into. Like you said, you could be potentially spending $500,000, a little bit less, a little bit more, but to have such a large investment hanging over your head, you want to make sure that you've made the right decisions for yourself. Something that might work well for your friends or your family might not be something that works for you. So to know that you've made the right choice, location's key. So again, make sure that you feel as if everything kind of fits within your realm. town wasn't what we thought, but we seem to have, it's grown on us. I can walk to a restaurant, we can head to a pub and catch some live music and then walk home at the end of the evening and, you know, have a few beers and enjoy that aspect of it and not have to worry about that drive home. So, I mean, there's so many good things about it. And I think as a buyer, just to ensure that you're asking the right questions, your realtor will obviously be able to answer a lot of them, but talk to people who've purchased a home, talk to people who've sold a home.
Yeah, I think it's good to get both perspectives on that. Well, thank you very much for doing this. I'm going to let you guys go now because you haven't eaten dinner yet, so I don't want to keep you waiting. Thank you so much. I hope to run into you guys soon. I'm sure we will. As I said, we'll talk after the podcast. We'll getting you and Megan to do some painting for us, hopefully this summer or sometime. So, okay.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right.
Thanks again, guys. Take care.